All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to JiraCon 21. Welcome to this session called Taking ITSM to the Next Level. My name is Scott Checkaway. I'm the CIO of a company called MedeAnalytics, and just going to take a little bit of time to talk about ITSM, how it can really provide a benefit to your organization using Jira just even as a base, but with all of the other add-ins and features that you can have, not just with applications itself or modules or add-ons, but having a good partner with you as well along that journey will show you how we have a really robust ITSM system. So first off, I just wanted to talk about who is MedeAnalytics. So we're a company founded in 1994. We're headquartered in Richardson, Texas. We have over 500 employees around the world. And you'll see from what we have for what we do, we empower healthcare organizations to make even smarter decisions, and we service well over 2,400 payers and providers. And you can see on the right-hand side there who we serve. You can see some of the biggest payers and providers in the United States, including some areas of our public sector. Think about Medicaid, things like that. So we service a large swath of the healthcare community in regards to providing the smartest healthcare for everyone. And as we get into ITSM, this is just I'm not going to go through the word jumble here entirely, just to talk about, if you're unfamiliar, ITSM is IT service management. And it's really just about how IT teams manage the delivery of your service to customers. And it's an approach that aligns with ITIL, and influenced by DevOps. And ITIL, for those who have been around a while, formerly called Information Technology Infrastructure Library, and that's a mouthful, so ITIL for short, and focuses on aligning those services, those IT services, with the business. So in regards to that, and in regards to how ITSM is structured, all of these things that you see here are all part of this ecosystem of ITSM. From having a service catalog, a service desk, incident management, problem management, change management, project management, asset management, and the policy and procedure management. Almost everything that you see here can be done within Jira. And that was part of what we had as a challenge when I first started several years ago, was we were using Jira for the typical agile ticket level system. We have Confluence. We were using Confluence for knowledge management. And then we were talking about, how do we bring it all together? How do we use this to make an ITSM model? And so as we did that, the ecosystem evolved. We have a service desk as part of Jira. And then we talked about, how do we have incident, problem, change management, even those basics, to bring Jira and this aspect of service management together. So with the help of a good partner, in which case I'll be fully transparent here, we utilize Trundl. We're very, very happy with them. And I'll say throughout the presentation, you want to be able to use a good partner, whether that's Trundl or somebody else. We've had a great experience with them, and I'll show you what we've been able to do because of their help with us. And so this is the meat of what I'm going to go through with everybody here. And that is, we had a version 1, which was, we took incident management, change management were the base projects. Think of them as creating a project within Jira. So we had a incident management, what we call major incident, or an MI project. And then we had a change management, which we call CC for change tickets. Those were base projects. And then what we did was we worked with our own staff who are very knowledgeable in ITIL, and partnered ourselves with Trundl to say, hey, we want to be able to take this and make a workflow based on ITIL that will allow us to have a major incident and be able to track that just like you would track a project, and be able to use change management in the same way, where we can make a change and link that to an incident. So if there was an incident that was caused because of a change, now we can say we have the change project, link that to the incident, And we had a great beginning run of having our incident management, change management within Jira. We also decided to use the service desk to provide some aspect of being able to have clients contact us for not just regular requests, but if they had something that was linked to a potential incident or problem. And so we had the beginnings of that ecosystem. So then we took the next step of this being the root cause analysis, RCA phase, and we linked that into Confluence. So at the end of a major incident, when we would have that MI ticket, we would then link that into Confluence to have the root cause analysis. And for the aspect of our business, just so everybody is aware, we host our own version of Jira. We're not hosted in the cloud. And that's because as a healthcare company, we have to have a BAA in place. So that was one of those where we decided to continue to self-host it. So we're using the data center version of Jira and its products within our own data center. So we link all of that between Jira and Confluence. And then we also implemented a third party being PagerDuty for incident notification. So when we had an incident, we would then use the integration with PagerDuty to page out to all of the right engineers and executives about a problem that was going on. And that was a good base for us to start. And then we took a step back and said, how can we take this another level? So then we said, hey, let's take the actual principles of ITIL, which were all developed around incident management and change management, and use them in Jira the way that we really want to see that workflow occur. And this is where we really brought in Trundl to say, help us through the workflow of this. And so we started to develop rules and workflows and scripts that as they interact as ITIL expects. And I'll show a few pictures of the workflows later on. We then decided to take the root cause analysis piece out of Confluence and over to Jira to make it another project. What that provided in this case was just continued linkage within one ecosystem. So now you had a major incident. Let's say that a change caused that incident. You can link the change to the incident. And then you can, at the end of it, you can have an RCA, which links all of those together, all within the same project. And then we modified the actual each project based upon the ITIL workflow. So in an RCA, you would have your investigation, and then you'll have the final root cause, and then you'll have approval workflows. So we incorporated all of that just using Jira. The next stage of our evolution then was to say, okay, now we have change management and incident management and root cause analysis. Now let's take the next step of having problem management, which would be the aspect of taking a batch of incidents that may be all interlinked to be able to look at it as a larger scale issue. So if you had multiple major incidents that could then be correlated, you would now have a problem management. And so we have a problem manager who does just that, who takes and correlates the incidents that we have. And think of that as an epic, where you would then take and link all of them together. And then you would be able to look at larger scale issues across your infrastructure or application base. And again, all throughout Jira, this was just another step in that particular ecosystem that you can make and modify and be able to just link just like you would in a project format. And what that's provided for us is this visibility that we didn't have before, where we can now look at this larger breadth of incidents. And it's really helped us as an organization as we've been able to have a different view and be able to solve some longer term problems using this type of view just by itself. So then we looked at beyond that, we said, hey, there was this, and this is before Atlassian obtained Insight. We said, look, there's this asset management tool that we want to tie in. Now we can tie in our assets to all of those different pieces. And so what was great about this, and especially change management, was now we have all of our data center assets linked into this Insight asset management tool. And so when a change was occurring, the engineers link the asset to the change, and we've added some logic to it to allow to tell us whether there are conflicts with changes, that multiple changes that were occurring that could be occurring with the same asset. And then beyond that, within asset management, you can actually tie applications to assets. So then we were also able to tie in whether there could be a conflict with an application that could be using assets. And so the aspect of that is the level of complexity starts to get interesting there. But the overall aspect is to make sure you're not overlapping changes with each other and potentially causing yourself incidents. So once we had all of these pieces put together, and I'll again show a couple of slides. I'll show a slide about what some of the logic that we put together there. The next piece was we initiated status page. Now, status page for us in this case was implemented because beforehand we were doing everything manually through an email template. It was very time consuming for us, time consuming for our incident response team. Status page provided us just with a simple integration that allows us to then allow our internal users and our clients, we maintain two different pages. We are then allowed to have both of those utilized in a way that each grouping, whether it's the internal users or whether it's our clients, can subscribe to the alerts that they want. So this way, if something does go down and something has a problem and we use status page to notify, now those people have a way to know that that issue occurred. And what we've done behind the scenes, and you'll see it with our next iteration here, is we've been able to tie all of this together with automation. And that's the exciting part. As we get into this version 3, which we just implemented, we've replaced PagerDuty with OpsGenie. And the incident notification process now is fully automated. So now when we have an alert that occurs in OpsGenie, status page gets an automatic notification, which then sends out that alert to everybody who wants to be notified about it. In addition, we've now set automatic executive notifications. And so in our method of incident management, we use a SEV1, SEV2, SEV3. If it's a SEV1, we want the whole world to know about it internally. So we make sure that our executives and everybody else are getting notified. And then with this also became a whole new range of system integrations that we really enjoy. We're a Zabbix shop. We're a Grafana shop. We utilize various technologies there, also with Pingdom. We're a Vertica shop. So for our database system, we have all of these things that can now integrate in, whether it's an available integration or whether it's something you can create. And then what really helps us in that aspect is we can take these systems. For instance, we get a Zabbix alert, which then comes into OpsGenie, which creates a ticket, which then can notify via status page. And so the whole ITSM cycle really starts to coalesce here, because then if that becomes a major incident, we now have all of that linkage to then create the major incident. The major incident will also use OpsGenie to then go ahead and send out an alert and use status page all automatically now. So all of the manual work that was occurring behind the scenes for us, for our incident response team, is now in a large part automated for them to be able to handle the incident versus handling all of the administrivia that would occur behind the scenes. What I've also found really, really cool for my aspect as an executive is the executive style reporting. There's a lot of user statistics. There's a lot of great KPIs and analytical information about how many alerts are we handling, what's the mean time to handle them. And so that's great information that allows us to now look at this as a larger scale, holistic part of that ecosystem to determine how can we better ourselves there. So OpsGenie really took us another step into that next level of ITSM. And then tying all of that together, we also use in our service desk, tying that back to ITSM, we've installed a module called Proforma. For those who are unfamiliar, Proforma gives you a decision-based tree portal versus the traditional service desk. The service desk that we had for a long time, it provided a great base for our community to be able to let us know about problems and issues. The Proforma piece of this now takes that to the next level to give it the decision tree that we've developed so that when users contact us, they can go in and make decisions about what things that they want to tell us about, which then has all of the kind of, think of it as an if-then workflow to then let us know what the specific problem that they're having. And if it's something that is a major incident, again, we can then link that back based upon the ticket that they've created. So there's a lot of value in all of these pieces, but it all starts with that base from Jira. And then coming soon for us, we're integrating our DevOps principles into our ITIL workflow. So we're going to be taking a lot of our add-ons, our integrations, things that I've mentioned here, Bitbucket, Chef, Rancher, which is our Kubernetes engine, Docker, all while it will connect in and utilize Jira to log, audit, track, and be able to let us know if there's failures along the way. We'll link that back to Ops Genie, which will do everything that I just talked about earlier about then alerting via status page, alerting people. Automation will then all be logged and maintained through Jira. So we're excited about that opportunity, because then for a healthcare company like us that thrives on the audits that we have to do, this gives us all of that and all that material that we can then provide as a base without having to sift through logs of these application systems. And as I state, as processes are not always flawless, ensuring any challenges during the DevOps process are learned and corrections are implemented, which means it's okay to have these issues occur. We just need to be able to learn from them and be able to apply those learnings back into our process. So again, back to the ITSM, there's a whole process and procedure piece that can also be linked in, which we link through in two different areas. We link to Confluence and we link to SharePoint. So we have both in use so that we can actually make sure our processes and procedures are all well documented. So this is just an example of our change management and incident management, insight management examples. So we developed this logic to say in a change ticket, we can have what's called an intersection window, which means it might be a particular asset or two assets that might have the same application are intersecting with each other. And so it's just more of a, hey, this particular ticket might intersect with another one, something you might want to be aware of. Comparably to the ones that are warnings, where, hey, this change ticket has a conflict with the following change based on an IT asset. This means, and you'll see where it says approved, it means we had an approved change ticket where the ticket had a conflict with the same IT asset. And so this change, which has not been approved yet, is already conflicting with an approved change. So this gives us an idea of being able to say, hey, take a time out, take a step back. Is this change also going to cause a problem with the approved change? And it gives us an opportunity to then have a conversation versus in the past when you may not have been totally aware that these two assets were gonna collide with two different changes, and then you might have an incident occur. So this is a great aspect for us from change management, to be able to say, hey, this is an opportunity to take a step back. Same thing with the affected application. You might have a couple changes that affect the same application, which in the back end affect the same type of assets. And then again, if you didn't have this logic in place, you might not be able to take that step back before you're making a set of changes and realize you're overlapping changes and potentially causing problems. And then for us, we have you'll see the bottom pieces within 48 hours. We have our own base system that we don't like to make changes less than 48 hours of notification. So if that change is occurring, then it requires extra levels of approval. And then these are just a couple of examples of our workflow. So this is our major incident workflow that we created behind the scenes in the JIRA project to say, major incident is open, it goes to being in progress. You then have a review, your RCA retrospective phase, and this is where the RCA ticket would then be created. And then an incident review. We require reviews for every incident, and that would then go through that RCA ticket. And then we gate phase it all the way to then being completed. And this is, again, this is all just part of that base product. And then the RCA workflow. So as we get into that RCA phase, you have a request, a work in progress, the incident review, and you can see, you can either reassign it, you can cancel it, you can have, then we go through our approvals so that we have various levels of approvals to make sure that everybody has reviewed and approved the root cause, making sure that there's a long-term remediation so that we don't have that problem happen again. And then we close out that particular root cause analysis, which closes out the whole chain of events. So how do you take your ITSM to that next level? Don't feel that you have to do all of this alone. Everything that I just described there is years of work that we did. Find the champions in your company. I have several, so I'm very fortunate and lucky. And then find a great vendor partner. We found one in Trundl. Find one, find one that works for you. I, of course, will highly recommend Trundl. They've been fantastic for us. They have the right expertise. They didn't pay me to say any of that. So I want you all to know that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today between the champions that we have and the partnership we have with them. And then understand the power of the tools on your ITSM journey. JIRA, as you heard me talk about a lot, just the base alone. If you had nothing else but the base, you can take care of several pieces of your ITSM journey right there. It just requires building some workflows. You couple that in with the asset management now that Atlassian has obtained as part of JIRA. You now have that whole piece, that next piece of that infrastructure where you can link in your assets to those changes. You can link in to your change management. Add in service desk, and then potentially look at going with something like Performa. You can then have a decision-based tree for your clients who can then provide insight to you on the problems that they're having. Couple this in with things like Status Page and Ops Genie, and you really have this complete ecosystem of your ITSM. And it makes it for a very thorough way to be able to utilize the entire ecosystem. And then ultimately the Atlassian marketplace. I would be remiss if I didn't point that out. A lot of these tools at the time we found through the marketplace, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, but there's a fantastic amount of tools out there to be able to test and utilize. And we did a lot of trial and error with certain tools. These were the tools that worked for us. As you can see, Atlassian at one point brought Insight Asset Management in. And it was just a overall really good journey for us thus far, and we're really looking forward to the next steps in it. It never ends. So this is going to be this will be continued steps. As I talked about, DevOps is our next step in our journey and how we integrate that into JIRA. I'm really looking forward to that because I know that JIRA has the power to do so. And so with that, are there any questions? I'll turn it over to the Trundle team to see if there's any questions that have come up.
Yes, Scott, there are a couple of very interesting questions. So I'll start with the first one from Dirk. So as you went through the iteration of the processes or the practices, how did you handle your resistance management? Were the new processes adopted and accepted easily?
A lot of it's just about communication. It was making sure that we really documented. We have a whole Confluence page about or several pages about our incident management, our ITIL, and we really encourage our folks to really read through it. There is a lot of material. So yes, you're never going to get 100% of everybody to agree to it. The biggest part is making sure that your executives and your management understand what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and making sure that they are make sure that they are really behind you in what you're trying to do, and that they understand that this is a journey, and there are going to be trial and error. I'm sure, if my staff were here, they would tell you we had our trials and errors of taking certain steps in certain ways, and it's okay. The change is a part of life, and sometimes we have to be able to pivot here and there. So listen to your staff too, in the sense of, if it's not outrageous to make a particular pivot in a direction that works for your organization, do so, and you'll find that they will adapt to what you're trying to do as well.
That's awesome. Thanks, Scott. So the next one is also from Dirk. So as you started from the ITIL V3 framework, do you have a plan to move more towards the ITIL 4? Will you examine your values?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Knowing that ITIL V4 is out, we will be looking at how do we make those changes. And I do feel like, that's kind of along the lines of the whole DevOps journey as well. How we automate, how we take our holistic ITSM to that next level. We need to continue the practice of looking at ITIL V4 and incorporating that in. So we're going to be starting that journey here in 2022.
Awesome. So the next one is that how are you handling changes Atlassian has been making to its JSM module of late? There've been a lot of changes. How are you handling those changes from the tool point of view?
From the tool point of view, well, I think for us, it really started at the Jira based point of view, knowing that we were a Jira standard shop. And when Atlassian moved over to being you could only be a data center shop if you're going to be hosting it yourself, we moved over to data center, and understanding that all the tools, and mind you, this is a discussion I actually had with Atlassian and several of their executives, because I was concerned that the data center version was not always compatible with the tool sets, and was assured, and they came through on their promises that many of the tools were redeveloped or reset to be able to be used and supported by data center. I would love to be able to go to the cloud, to be honest. The problems that I have is that what you've seen, what I've been able to put together is very customized in the sense of, we've been able to build our own workflows. We've been able to put together scripts. You can't do all of that in the cloud instances. So the tooling in regards to between that and cloud really made it an easy decision for us to continue to stay internal. We also couldn't go to the cloud because of, again, in healthcare, we require BAAs, and we're still in discussions with Atlassian about going that route. A lot of healthcare companies around the US are in that same discussion with Atlassian. So we can get them to go to the allowing a BAA route, we can start to discuss how do we move to a cloud-based version that will allow these customizations to also move over to it. I do feel like we as consumers will be able to help dictate to Atlassian what we want to see in the product moving forward. So I'm excited for Atlassian to see what we all can do. I think they've seen it, and now it's just a matter of moving forward to getting that getting them to realize they've got to take themselves to that next level to help us in healthcare. For those not in healthcare, the tool set, you really have a choice to make. You can go on the local route, you can go the cloud route, and you'll have a large set of tools to work with. I felt like that the marketplace is really, I've watched it expand and grow over the last several years, and feel like that with the latest changes they've made in their structure, they really are paying attention to those of us who are using data center version and those who are using the cloud.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. I guess, this question is something, a lot of people would have in their mind, especially with Atlassian moving towards cloud first approach. These questions are always around. Thanks for that very insightful answer.
Absolutely. And one thing to add to that is there is an ongoing chat in the Atlassian system that anybody can be part of in regards to healthcare, BAAs. If anybody's interested, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to discuss with anybody who's in healthcare and dealing with the same situation. We've all been having discussions with the Atlassian executive team as a group, as a large scale conglomerate, to make sure that our voices are heard.
Awesome. There you go. You are the champion there, Scott. Thank you for all that work. So we have another question from Brent. How are you managing SLAs when issues are escalated? Any adjustments being made to your SLAs downstream from when the incident is reported?
So we have just like in traditional ITIL and ITSM, we have our mean time to repairs, our mean time to fix, and our SLAs are all calculated based upon the work that we're doing within that MI ticket, at that major incident ticket. So then our incident response team tabulates all of that information, and then we determine if any SLAs have been violated. In many cases, we also have in our client support team, which is our help desk that handles for our clients, we have SLAs built in there as well. So we know and can automatically understand if we're approaching or violating an SLA regarding a client interaction. Same thing with a major incident. We do tabulate and keep track of the SLAs all through there. I will also add that based upon the fact that MedeAnalytics is an analytics organization, we do use our own system to take that data, take the raw data and feed it back into our system to do a lot of our own tabulations. So while there are tools to be able to do it, because of the nature of who we are, we're able to take our own tool and be able to tabulate our information very easily. I hope that answered the question.
Yep, let's see if there are any more questions. Yep, no more questions. I guess we answered all of them.
All right. Well, I thank everybody for your time. Really appreciate it. Feel free to contact me or anybody at Trundl to reach out if you have any other questions or want to discuss this any further.
All right, we're all here for any more additional questions. Feel free to just stop by our booths as well. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you, everybody.